Hello and welcome to a live Kerfefe break on Deprogrammed. I'm here with my guest co-host today, Mike Harlow. Mike, I told you I was going to bring you on after the announcements, but I decided to surprise you and just
I know. I thought I had
bring
time
you
to
on.
be a vain bitch and fix my hair. Because
You look
someone had said to
great.
me, someone tweeted us and was like, "Oh, you got to bring your good hair game," and now I feel like I'm just totally letting them down.
People always think that my guests need to wear a hat. I'm like, why? I mean, if they want to, I love hats. I don't always wear one, but
No one can compete with your hat game. That's why.
I got a new hat yesterday. Well, a new old hat. It was our anniversary. It's our 1-year wedding anniversary, which you know because you were here a year
That was
ago.
amazing.
I can't
That was
believe it's
the
been
best wedding ever.
I'm kind of partial to it.
Because I hate weddings. I hate all like the pageantry and it's like the most not romantic thing ever. So
Yes.
yours is like the perfect wedding because it wasn't
Sometimes,
about all the bullshit.
yeah, sometimes there can be a lot of bullshit, performative bullshit. This was just kind of come and have fun. And that was before we had air conditioning in this house. So a lot we were just, Anthony and I were talking about all the stuff that's happened in the past year, and it's a lot. We have AC in the house. We have some running water. And yeah, we don't have a shower yet. Working on it. We've got plumbers out. They've been out this whole past week, and then this room that I'm in, I'll just give you an update on what we're doing. This whole wall has been torn down because we had to take out a chimney that was crumbling, but we're rebuilding it. And tomorrow he's going to start rebuilding the adjoining room, which is going to be his recording studio. So it's very exciting.
I love your house. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. I mean,
what about the kitchen? I need to know about the kitchen.
The kitchen has been completely deconstructed. And so right now it's like a temporary kind of setup in there. Anthony put in this temporary kind of camp kitchen area where we can cook and stuff. And we do have a temporary kitchen sink now, but it's all just kind of deconstruct is the best way to put it. Yeah, that room is like probably number 4 on our list. First on our list is the guest bath, just so we have a working shower. But anyway.
By the way, side note, if you're hearing fucking salsa music, this is what they do outside my house all day long.
I don't, but I hear some kind of buzzing when you're talking now. Does everybody else hear that? Do you guys hear that buzzing? Hey guys, hey chat.
Oh wait,
yeah. Do you?
Hey, Leah, Lisa, Therese.
If you guys hear that noise, let us know.
Oh yeah, can I? Yeah, I just got a mic, but I always have to try like cheap. Okay.
There's a crackling noise. So you know what?
I swear if it's this new mic, I'm gonna be so pissed. Okay, wait, let me know. I'm gonna switch mics.
Okay, try the new one.
What about now?
That sounds good. Okay. So
I'm gonna do this damn thing. I knew it.
No, you just have to test it out. So really quickly, I didn't do the announcements because I just brought you on. I'm just going to say, guys, if it's your first time watching, welcome. This is still a relatively new channel. I'm excited because we've almost hit 10,000 in just a couple of months. So if it's your first time here, you can hit subscribe if you like it and help us hit that goal, at which point we'll have some kind of party. I don't know what it'll be. And also, we do have a Subscribe Star and a Patreon. Just look for Deprogrammed if you want to support the show financially, and a Locals. We also, let's see, what else? Oh, okay. So I'm going to tell you about the event that just happened, but just coming up this week, if you're in the Dallas, Texas area, I'm going to be at the Friday Night Tights meetup on Thursday night. It's free. Come on out and say hello. There's going to be a ton of people there. I'm really excited. My husband's coming with me. And then I'm sticking around for Fan Expo. I've got a friend who's has a booth and is selling her artwork. So come say hello to her. Her name's Julia Mann, Art by Julia Mann. And then the following week, I'm going to be in New York, so I'll get to see you. I'm going to be at Minds Fest on June 25th, which is a Friday. And they have a great lineup. So check it out. If you're in New York, it's, oh my goodness. They have Cornell West, Zuby, Tim Pool, Libby Emmons, just a
Tulsi Gabbard, Blair.
Oh yeah, they announced Tulsi Gabbard. It's crazy. So, and I think that's it. I think that's all the announcements. So anyway, thank you for waiting.
I know exactly where we're going for dinner, by the way.
Oh, I trust you. You know all about. You're good.
That's where I grew up. I grew up like 2-3 blocks away from the theater that it's at. So by the pier there, they have this amazing like outdoor bar restaurant. It's like one of the few things left that are still nice in New York.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm just kind of, this month is sort of jam-packed, so I'm just rolling with it. I'm like, okay, what's next? Let's do it. So one of the things that happened this past week, and the reason I didn't do a Friday show because I had an event on Friday in Austin, and this was at it was called Women Leaving the Left, and it was a discussion with myself, Meghan Murphy, Lou Singleton, and Michelle Evans, moderated by Isabella Malbin. And it was a great, interesting group of women because although we've all left the extreme left, we haven't all ended up in the same place. We don't have the same opinions on everything. We even disagree. We did a video discussion before the event a couple weeks before where we talked about abortion, and everybody has a different perspective on it. But the one thing we have in common is that we support free speech, and we think the left has gotten pretty extreme in the past few years, especially. So this event was supposed to provoke dialogue for women in Austin who feel politically homeless. And I'll just say, overall, it was great. We had a great turnout. I met a lot of new people. I met people who are just leaving woke, and, there's tears, some of these women. And I understand that because they're losing everything. Like during the Q&A, one woman said, "I'm losing my whole family. They're calling me a bigot and a Trumper and all this stuff." And so it's really great, I think, for a lot of people who are going through this, if they're just going through it now, to come to an event like this and see we're not the only ones. There's other women here, and we're not all the same. We're not all conservatives. We're not all liberals. We don't all agree on policy, but we have this experience in common with walking away from the radical left. So anyway, it was great. That being said, there were a lot of protesters, and
you met all my old friends.
I did. And they banged on the windows the whole event. So we had to speak over them. You saw the video I did from
Don't their arms get tired? Like, it doesn't seem like they've got a whole lot in the way going on of biceps. Not that I'm one to talk, but
they did. Okay, well, that's kind of funny because towards the end, like right before the Q&A, we noticed, because it was really hot that day. It was over 100 degrees here in Texas, and most of them were wearing masks outside in the heat. And they're kind of fey. And they were, by the end, it kept getting weaker and weaker until right before the Q&A. They just kind of like trickled away.
You guys have to go look on Kerri's Facebook. You got to upload it to YouTube or something, because this video of her confronting the protesters is just comedy gold. It should just be called, because you guys know Kerri, she's like a freaking angel. So it should just be called.
I'm not an angel, but.
Yes, you are. I'm the bitch on wheels. You're the nice one. But it should just be called like sweetest person in the world comes face to face with Antifa and stands her ground. But it was so entertaining because you were like, "Can you do the middle finger again? It makes for a better picture." And then there's the guy in the mask screaming. Oh, sorry, you're going to show it. I'm giving it all away. Sorry.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll just play it. I'll play it. Yeah, I don't know how to take it off Facebook, but I'm going to try and figure that out. But I'll just play it from here right now. You tell me if you can't hear it. It's not that long. So this was a live stream from while we were waiting to start the event because of all the noise disturbance. So this is the current state of things at our panel in Austin for women leaving the left. Let's see if I can turn this around. How do I do that? There we go. So they've just kind of posted up at all the entrances with their signs, and some of them were making a primate kind of gestures with their groin, and it kind of feels like we're in a zombie movie and we're inside the library hiding.
from the zombies who want to eat our brains. So because this lady.
Later.
Hi. So I'm just taking you on a walking tour of what the scene is, and could you do your middle finger again?
Okay, that woman.
Sure. Can you please make merch? Can you do the middle thing?
That woman, I don't know if you noticed, but that woman that just walked away, I noticed this the second time I watched it. She had one of those glass breaking things in her hand, I think. And so she was standing with her back to the window trying to break the glass. And when she saw my camera, she walked away. That's what just happened.
Feisty.
Yeah.
And could you do the middle finger? Sorry. Well, you guys did the middle finger earlier and it made the picture better. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. That's what I took a photo a while ago with their big sign, and it was a pretty good photo to show you what was going on, except they made it better because then they all flipped me off. So I got a second picture. Oh, if you take the mask off, I can. It's hard to hear you through the door and the mask. Okay, well. So these are, I think we're just waiting. We're starting a little late because we're waiting for security, just because of the noise disturbance. I'll take you outside. This is my beautiful friend sitting out here doing the door. I'm sorry about all this.
Does she just work there?
No, she's No, she's one of my good friends, and she volunteered to work the door, and she had to sit there close to these guys the whole time. And I'll tell you something briefly.
Her poor nostrils.
Yeah, I went out there a few times because what happened was that as people were arriving, by themselves or in pairs or in small groups, these protesters were trying to intimidate them. They were screaming at them, calling them TERFs and Nazis, and telling them that they had added their picture to a white supremacist database. And so I went out there for a while, and just as people came up, I was like, hi, like, come on in, so that they weren't just facing hatred outside. And so I had already walked out here a couple times just to welcome people. But my friend had to sit there listening to you can imagine it's kind of disturbing. It could cause anxiety. I had even heard people who were coming in. The reason I went out there is I heard people who were coming in and they were saying, gosh, my heart rate's racing, like I didn't expect that. And really sucks. I think I have a crackle too.
People see though that they came to the event, they had that happen, they got nervous, and they were okay. These people are just classic bullies. You stand up to them and they melt down, as you can see. So that's what people realize, that you don't need to be afraid. You can stand up to these people. They are not. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. They're not that scary.
Mikey, your crackle is back. Try muting yourself. I just want to make sure it's you, not me. Mute yourself. Yeah. There's something on your end with your audio. Do you want to try leaving and coming back? Because this happened last time with a guest, and he left and came back and it was fine. I'm trying to remember who that was. Anyway. Okay, so while we're waiting for him, I'll just finish playing this video. Oh, hey, Dangerous Rhetoric is here. Your audio is pooping. Yes, it is pooping. Hi, Brentley. Okay, we'll just this video is almost over, guys. We'll just play. This is the kind of up close and personal where you can see it's really impossible to talk to people who are like this. So some people were saying, because I was live streaming this, they were saying interview them, ask them, what is a woman? You can't get a word in edgewise because they're just screaming at you. So I just felt like, well, let's just get this on cameras to show people what it's like. And there's another thing you're about to see them do, which is they kind of engage in this make believe that they're filming you, they're filming people who are coming to the event to try and intimidate them. And they're yelling stuff at them, and they yelled stuff at me about how, I've scanned your face and I've added you to a database of white supremacists, get ready. And it's like, okay. They do all of that to scare and intimidate people. But if you turn your camera on, they engage in this make-believe that you're putting their lives in danger now because you're recording. And so what they usually do with these kind of protests is if you start recording, a bunch of them will surround you and try and put their signs in front of your camera so you can't film anything. And you're about to see them do that. And what's funny about it is that they're trying to cover up this guy who starts screaming at me. But if you'll remember from just a minute ago, that same guy was perfectly fine being on camera when I was inside. He was the same one screaming at me in his mask. They're not actually afraid of being on the camera. They're just doing whatever they can to be offensive and to escalate things and to try and provoke you. So all of this is meant to silence, intimidate, provoke. So yeah, there's really no way to engage with it. You can just film it, but I couldn't have asked them, I couldn't have asked them questions. No.
Okay. I know, but I want to see more people. I know, but I want to see more people too. I just want to see more. Oh, wait, there's more people back there. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I just wanted people, because we're waiting. Okay. I just wanted to get people. You don't get to tell me to be quiet. It's okay. Oh, if you take the mask off, I can. But if you take the mask off, I can. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Okay. If you take the mask off, I can understand you better. Yeah. That's kind of what's happening. It's fucking pride, you stand for nothing. You stand for nothing. It's fucking pride. Okay. I am. My heart rate's increased. It's okay. I am. It's okay. I just wanted to meet you. Okay.
Okay, so I'll stop that. That's enough. Am I okay?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great. No crackling.
Oh, I'm on the microphone again. Okay, whoever said turn the thingy down. I'm smart, as you can tell. It's Pride Month, Kerry. Pride Month. How can you do such a thing on Pride Month? First of all, these people, okay, so this is Pride Month, then they have the History Month, then they have, these people have half the damn calendar year. As if you were speaking in one of the other months, like the 1 or 2 months maybe that they don't have, as if that would be better. Get the hell out of here.
They, oh man, where do I start? Somebody in the chat said I saw it go by. Somebody said it, they seem demonic. And yes, I do have some other videos of them I haven't uploaded yet. And they did remind me, some of them reminded me of people possessed. Two of the women in particular, the woman who kept yelling that she had scanned my face, for a white supremacist site or whatever. She seemed very possessed. So there, and I do have some of her on camera where she was using this mocking voice that it makes you think of the Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz, and kind of like if you've ever had someone in your life with a personality disorder of a certain type where they kind of they go into this really gross mocking kind of tone. She was doing that. So she kept calling me little girl and darling, and she'd be like, she'd say like, darling, little girl. It's like, creep.
Was that the one with the yellow or that thing next to you? I'm sorry, no disrespect, but like, oh, I could smell him through the screen with the blue hair.
Oh, the guy with the blue hair. Well,
and in 100-degree weather.
Yeah, something interesting about that guy. So the whole time he was standing right beside me and with his arms crossed, and he just kept saying, shut up, be quiet, shut up. And he also kept saying, when I said, I want to see more of your signs, he kept saying, we don't want you to see us. We don't want you to see us. And we don't want to see you. And so anyway, he showed up, he showed up on my Instagram after this. And the first comment he left was, I found you. Kind of, it's meant to intimidate, like, he knows where I am. And I just said, oh, hey, I said, hey, I remember you. I said, something I meant to ask you. This is a real question. You kept saying repeatedly that you didn't want to see us and you did not want us to see you. So why did you come to our event? Like, it doesn't make sense. You clearly want to be seen. And like nothing they say, not even these sentences that are kind of throwaway sentences, they don't mean anything. They're not rooted in any truth. So even something like that, you're not speaking the truth, dude. Like, you want us to see you, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And pounding the whole time we're speaking,
They're insane. It's like, well, so like, because I've been protested by people like this so many times, and the thing that's always stood out the most about it is just the glazed over look in their eye, the just totally vacant look, and the hatred that there's nothing in the world, there's nothing you could say that would ever make these people not hate you. Mm-hmm. And they're so misinformed. It's bizarre. By the way, I didn't know that a lot of those like white supremacist databases were still around. I got put into one of those back in like 2016 or something, before I even did any of this. And it was something that was like in the school systems, that they had this like website they would put people in. So I looked in what they put me in there for, and it was like someone who followed me followed another person, and that person said something. So that's why I was in there.
And you got added. Yeah, the purpose of those sites, Antifa people run some of these sites, and they do it to intimidate anyone who speaks up against them, so you can imagine. See, when you call someone something as vile and horrible as a white supremacist, which that's vile, that's a horrible thing to be. And so if you do that dishonestly, you're committing several different kinds of lies when you do that dishonestly. And one of those kind of lies is that you're hoping to encourage attacks on that person by branding them something evil that they're not. And that's what they do. They put people in there because they want people to be afraid of, Antifa showing up at their house or something. And yeah. But that guy, I'll just say something about the green hair guy. So he kept commenting on my Instagram, and he said, at one point he started arguing with some other guy who follows me, and that guy has his own company and his profile. And so green haired guy says, oh, and he names his company. He's like, oh, good luck with such and such. I'm sure it's going to be a very profitable company. And I looked at his profile and I was like, dude, you work at Target. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's actually, it's very respectable. And I'm glad you have a job. Like, but
That's shocking. But,
but don't throw stones when you live in a glass house. What is wrong with you? And then if you just barely scratch the surface, you find they have a problem with truth on every level, because that bothered him. And so he said, yeah, I worked at Target 2 years ago, and I've started my own company. I'm like, actually, this picture says it's from March of 2021, and it says new team member, and it's you in the bathroom at Target with your uniform on. Like, you just started there a year ago. Like, don't why are you lying?
Playing.
Yeah,
I find it unbelievable that he would have a job.
Yeah, but it's hard talking to them, because, as you said, they're sort of I feel like they are possessed by something. Even if you don't believe in demons, like as an entity, they're possessed by something like a kind of madness or hatred or ideology, and it's hard to get through that.
And it's not only this that we see this in. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Scientologists, but the Scientologists that will follow people with cameras, just like screaming things at them. It's really similar, actually, because I'm working on a video now that I'm putting out this week that's about cults, and especially in relation to the alphabet cult. And one of the things that they always do is they invent words. Cults basically try to rewire your brain. So they'll invent words. They'll control language. If they can control how you speak, they can control how you think. And that's exactly what these people do with turf or cis or any of their language. And that's exactly what Scientologists do, is that they create these words, thetans and squirrels and all this stuff. So like they call a squirrel like someone who runs away from Scientology, that doesn't want to take the abuse anymore. So they will follow them around with cameras, just like doing their daily routine, their daily lives, screaming like, squirrel, squirrel. And it's exactly this. They're screaming turf. These aren't real words.
No,
They're the inventions of cults and people who are rabidly possessed by ideology.
I've had a lot of people, since I put up a picture of their sign that said no turfs on our turf, and I had a lot of people asking me, what's a turf? And I think this is, in the way that they use that word, I know what it really means, right? But forget that, because the way in which they use that word, they literally use it for anyone who knows how to define woman. So let's just pass that on. That's the new definition. Like, what's a turf? Someone that knows how to define woman. That's it.
Well, even their made up words mean nothing to them, though, because what it apparently stands for, trans exclusionary radical feminist. A friend of mine, though, I don't know if you know Mars, but a friend of mine, he has a great podcast. He's amazing, but he's a transgender man who's kind of conservative. So I all the time see them screaming, raging in his comments, calling him a turf. I'm like, wait a second. So you're saying he's trans exclusionary, but he is trans, and you're also saying he's a radical feminist, but he's not even a feminist, let alone a radical one. Like, their words just mean nothing.
Yes. That's why
he's speaking in friggin' clicking sounds or something. It would make more sense.
Yeah. They don't. That's why. I mean, even when they call people white, they call everyone white supremacists. They were calling all the people who bought tickets to this show white supremacists. I mean, they don't mean anything. Yeah.
The black face of white supremacy.
Yeah. Well, it was, all in all, it was a very interesting experience, and we are going to be doing more of these. So we're looking at other cities, and I'm excited about it. I love these women. I'm going to be talking to, hopefully this week, Lou Singleton. So she was on the panel with me, and she's just a wealth of information. She comes from the midwifing community, and she was one of these. She got canceled for speaking out when they tried to change all the official language for midwives and make them refer to mothers as birthing people. And that was, so I'm going to get her whole story. And anyway, I'm very excited to speak with her. So
she's a mid-spouse.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Mid-spouse. Yes.
No, that's good that you haven't.
So what have you been up to? I jumped right into what happened on Friday. I know you have a lot going on.
To jump into. God, we should introduce them to the screaming bald lady. She's my favorite. She is my favorite one that I've met along the way of people screaming in my face.
Which lady?
You've never seen the screaming bald lady from San Francisco?
I don't remember. There's been so many.
I need to make her my phone background. You're part of my phone background now, the Breakfast Club.
Oh.
Peter, James Lindsay. We took our Breakfast Club photo. No, I need to make the screaming bald lady my next background. That was when we did a walkaway event in San Francisco, and they canceled it like 2 hours before. So we were like, screw you, we're going to have our event in front of the building. And oh, was it ugly. Screaming bald lady, just screaming at the sky, screaming in the face of a drag queen who then starts clapping. And oh, it was just like the highlight of my life.
Wow. Mikey, your microphone is popping again. Just FYI.
I have no luck. I have no luck with technology. Okay, I will try the third microphone for today. Let me see. Oh, wait. God, I'm like a fucking grandma.
What's your new microphone? What kind is it?
It's a piece of shit, obviously.
That's not necessarily what it is.
What about this? Better?
That sounds better.
Okay, that's my stupid Mac microphone. God, I have no luck with technology. I got this nice camera, and I accidentally got the one for desktop that's magnetic, so it just falls down whenever it wants. I am a mess with my technology and most things.
But tell me about, you've been working on a lot because it's Pride Month. I know you've been. What's his name? Jeffree Marsh, that annoying guy from TikTok.
Wait, what?
Don't you have a Jeffree Marsh video?
Oh yes, and Dylan Mulvaney one. Apparently people have told me they like when I make fun of people, or do my impressions of them. So I'm working on it. Jeffree Marsh. I'm still trying to get the voice down, but it's like it is very much like a phone sex operator.
Yes.
Who's trying to hypnotize you, but also being very condescending and trying to keep it together.
He's been doing this for a while, because before TikTok, he was on Vine. And
no!
Yeah, and in fact, in some of his videos, he says, I always, you can learn a lot about people just in the first. He's like, I'm Jeffree Marsh, Vine superstar.
I can't with these people. And then the other one was ran like 6 months ago, going on the friggin' Price is Right. Oh, if you want to see the cringiest thing on the internet other than me, just look up Dylan Mulvaney, The Price is Right. It is just like everything I hate about theater people, like dancing and doing spins around the stage. Oh, look at me. And the ultimate way to do that now is to just change your gender.
I have something else to show you. Okay, let's see. Since it's Pride Month, I'm not sure what things you wanted to talk about today, but there's a lot in the news.
As I would say, there's plenty of subject matter there.
Yeah. So out of all the corporations and companies and IPs that are putting the rainbow on, this one just made me giggle a bit, because Mystery Chris and I had just done an episode last week about Michael Crichton, and he has this really great essay called The Politicization of Science, and it comes from the afterword in his book State of Fear. It's excellent essay. I wish he were around today, because anyway, we had just talked about Jurassic Park. We had just talked about Michael Crichton, and then I saw this. So for anyone listening, it's the official Jurassic Park Twitter feed, and they have a picture of a dinosaur. It's hard for me to see. I think it might be a T-Rex. And then they have a big old rainbow flag draped across him. And the tweet says, "Here at Jurassic Park, hate is the only thing that's extinct. We stand with our LGBTQ plus friends during #Pride and all year round." And then they have a rainbow flag and a trans flag. Life finds a sleigh.
Oh, God. Why is it so impossible for people to accept? No one hates you. No one cares. No one cares. Who hates you?
Do you feel like, have things changed? Because you're relatively young. So within your lifetime, have things changed? I knew that you would. Have things changed for you in terms of the way the mainstream culture either rejects or embraces gay couples?
God, yes. And obviously I never encountered nearly the worst of it. But it's like a different planet. When I first came out, I was 18, and like, yeah, every day it was some sort of issue. I wouldn't say it was hate, but it was like always some, you know, like friends at the time who were straight as you go to hug them and they'd be like, whoa, or some stupid shit like that. Nobody cares now. Nobody cares. It is a total non-issue in my life. The only time it's an issue is whenever leftists hate you. And of course, the first thing they bring up is your sexuality. That's it. And like, it's so frustrating. I always hear from people about, oh, these conservatives. I've traveled the entire country speaking to conservatives. Do you want to know the worst thing? Even when people talk about, you know, oh, they're against this. I'm like, I think that's only like a handful of loud people on Twitter. Like, in traveling the entire country, talking to mostly conservatives, you want to know the worst thing anyone's ever said to me about being gay? One time, somebody said, I don't agree with your lifestyle, but I respect you. That's the worst thing.
That's the worst thing.
That was once.
Wow.
That's
but you also got called the F word by some leftists, didn't you?
Pretty much on a weekly basis, at least for all of 2020. Yeah, they're the most miserable people in the world. And I think that also has a lot to do with it now. The reason that it's such a non-issue in my life, because people who are wrong thinkers or more right-leaning just do not care. And it's when you're around leftists, you know, it's these people who wrap themselves in rainbows and pride flags that are the ones that, you know, you have one disagreement with them about something, they'll be calling you every name in the world. Like, you'll see their true colors. So I think it's just part of that also is not just how much society has changed with that, but like not being around these people who define everyone by just their immutable traits.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that it's changing? Because it's hard for me to get a sense of the culture at large, because obviously by the nature of what we talk about and who we hang out with, we are going to come into contact with gay and lesbian people who are walking away from the left. That's just what's going to happen, or who disagree with the narrative, at least. Do you think that that's just because of the people we interact with, or do you think that's on a grand scale that's happening?
No, it's no one cares, honestly. Like, I can't think of a time. I mean, other than, you know, leftists, like I said, like Antifa types or BLM types. Other than that, it's just such a non-issue. And that's not, I don't think that's a New York thing. I think that's an anywhere thing, because I've traveled a lot. It's just a non-issue. And the funny thing is, all these corporations that pretend to care so much, where were they when it mattered? Where were they when people were dropping dead of AIDS in the 80s? Not a word. But now that no one cares and homophobia is like 90 to 99% a thing of the past, now suddenly there's rainbows everywhere, because now they have a product to sell. Now it's a very lucrative industry. God, I took an Uber the other day. The car on the map had to be a rainbow, and then a guide screen capped this whole thing. Let me walk you through Uber's guide of everything I need to know to get in a cab.
It's everywhere. Okay, while you're pulling it up, I'll just say we were watching something last night, and I can't even remember. It might have been HBO, one of the apps, and everything on there is like, you know, they're trying to direct you into the rainbow. Watch your pride film. No, I'm just looking for blazing saddles.
Yeah. Good. Look at this. Move with pride. And then they have to show you all the initiatives for the LGBTQIA2S plus community. The National Center for Transgender Equality. This is 2 pages. The Right to Be Foundation. I'm like, I'm just trying to get to Midtown. Then the 5-step process of speaking inclusively with your Uber driver. Step 1, gendered greetings. Step 2, don't assume cis heteronormative relationships.
With your Uber driver.
Step 3, beware of implicit bias. Step 4, respect boundaries. What boundaries? What am I going to grab my Uber driver's tits and be like, hey, toots? Respect boundaries. 5, gender expression does not equal gender identity, does not equal sexual orientation. I'm just trying to get a ride, bitch.
Why is Uber sending this out?
I think there was more, but I gave up at step 5. And the car had to be a rainbow, and there were flags everywhere. Like literally, I don't know if it's just in New York or elsewhere, but get an Uber and you'll see the car is just a friggin' rainbow.
What? Okay.
I'm so over this. And let me tell you, this month is turning me into such a bitch. Not that I wasn't before, but like anyone who like looks at me the wrong way, I'm like, I jump at them.
So it just there's so many things wrong with that. I mean, first of all, I'm a person who I do somehow get into conversations with my drivers usually. If they're a talkative person, I'll talk with them.
They're
And
always chatty to me. I'm like,
yeah, I'll talk with them, but never does it come up. I mean, why would any of this come up anyway? And you're not going to be referring to them in the third person because you're talking with them. So why would pronouns even come up? It's so stupid. It's like, excuse me, what are your pronouns? Oh, good, because I might need to call someone and talk about you in the back of the car in front of you, but I want to do it respectfully.
it only comes up if I've heard a driver who's like hitting on me.
Oh my goodness. That's
then they were never cute, so it didn't go any further.
It's
no,
just
I'm so over this. I'm so, like I said, everyone, I'm just like snapping. This woman came at me the other day on Twitter that she was like some pro-abortion thing, and I was just like, oh, go grab your wire hanger, Joan. I was like, ooh, this month's making me nasty. I'm just so over it. Somebody, this friend of mine, Bobby, a couple years ago, I'll never forget it, sent me the most amazing quote. I think that I think it's from some stupid anime or something. Sorry, not stupid. I know the anime fans, they will like cut you, but it's from some anime or something. But I remember it said, pride is not the antidote to shame, it's its source. The only antidote to shame is true humility.
Humility.
We need humility month. We need humility month.
Somebody said that in the chat.
If there is one thing in the world none of us need right now, it is more pride. We are like the most prideful generation in the most prideful time in the most prideful world. It is the last thing in the world we need more of.
Yeah.
It's the same way. It's the same way as, I mean, it's just a community built around narcissism and mutual resentments. And it's the same way that they always tell them, oh, love yourself, love yourself. They love themselves. How about start teaching people respect yourself?
Yeah. It's the pride thing is a great point. And I saw someone put that in the chat just saying, we need a humility month.
Yes.
You're making me think of something I saw. I'm going to see if I can find it to show you later. Something I saw from my friend Lydia posted this weekend that it might make you cry, and I apologize in advance. But it was just so real and true. And anyway, if I can find it, I'll put it up on screen.
No.
Well, before I do that, I do have this one thing pulled up I wanted to talk to you about, and I'll look for this while we're talking about it. This I just saw this morning from Billboard Chris, and this is a new study that he's trying to draw everyone's attention to, and I encourage everyone to go and read this study. Let me see if I can get it up here. There we go. Okay. Can you see it? Oh, no. So the headline of the study, this is from the Heritage Foundation. Of course, anybody who likes to commit genetic fallacy will say, I'm not reading it. It's from the Heritage Foundation. But it's a study by Jay Green. And the title of it is Puberty Blockers, Cross-Sex Hormones, and Youth Suicide. And so what he's done with this study is he's really dispelled a lot of the lies, a lot of the untruths that they speak to try and force us as a society to accept genital mutilation on children, to accept giving children cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers and double mastectomies. And a lot of those lies, I'm sure you guys have heard them, and I see them all the time from parents in these parents of trans kids groups. They say, if you don't validate, if your child comes home and says, I'm trans or I'm non-binary or what have you, if you don't validate, and they say, if you don't validate and if you don't use the pronouns that they want, that your child might end up killing themselves. And they also say, would you rather have, because when a person changes their name in the trans rights community, that part of social justice, they call it their old name, their dead name. And so they'll often say, would you rather have a dead name or a dead kid? And that is so emotionally manipulative.
They're emotional extortionists is what they are.
Yes, that's a better phrase.
It's abuse.
Emotional extortion. It is abuse.
Everything these people do is all the language of abusers.
Yes. I don't let people talk to me that way anymore in these kind of debates. Some people who found my Instagram after the event this Friday were trying that. They were sort of saying, everything that you women were there saying that night leads to people killing themselves. That's BS. That's emotionally manipulative. It's language, and it's something an abuser would do. Stop doing it. I'm not going to respond to that.
Then what language was it that led to Daphne Dorman killing herself? What language was it that led to Wilson Gavin killing himself? These are all people who committed suicide. A gay man, a trans woman, after being attacked and attacked and attacked by the alphabet cult for stepping this much out of line.
Yep. Will you say those names again? Because I bet there's some people who watch my show who are not familiar with them.
Yeah, Daphne Dorman was a transgender woman. Dave Chappelle, she was friends with Dave Chappelle. She was a comedian. He talked about her in his last special, which made it so ironic, the hysteria over it, because the entire point of him talking about all that was a tribute to her. She committed suicide. She was attacked relentlessly by the trans community and the alphabet cult for being friends with Dave Chappelle and sticking by him. Wilson Gavin is another person. He was a young gay man who was 21. His big crime was that he said drag queens are not for kids. And he protested Drag Queen Story Hour, which a lot of people did when at that same event. But he was a young gay man, and like all cults, they do not allow dissidents. They will attack you more than anyone. So they went after him like you wouldn't believe until he killed himself at 21. And that wasn't enough for them afterward, because after that, they were all over social media celebrating his death, taking great joy in it. So don't ever, ever, ever allow these people to tell you that it's just about love and kindness. We are way past that.
No, they abuse those words. Like narcissists, they say what's up is down and what's down is up. And they accuse you of what they're doing. Like those people outside the event, they're accusing us of what they're doing. Hatred, I don't ever want to behave like those people. So, okay, so this study says puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and youth suicide. That's the title. And I'm going to read you guys just a little bit of the summary and tell you about this. And we'll put the link in the description for today, so you can go read the whole thing. So it says lowering legal barriers to make it easier for minors to undergo cross-sex medical interventions without parental consent does not reduce suicide rates.
Oh, wait, but Carrie, I was told that's not happening.
Oh, that they're not getting cross-sex medical interventions?
Not happening.
That's what they say first. First they say, oh, there's no kids getting double mastectomies.
That's not happening.
Then when you show them pictures and evidence and accounts of it, they say, oh, that's all faked.
Or they say, if it's happening, it's a good thing.
Yeah, then they finally say, well, if it is happening, it's a good thing, and here's why.
And then they say, why do you care?
Mm-hmm.
As if, what kind of society would be giving double mastectomies to 12-year-old little girls and not care about it? And we're the assholes being like, why do you care? Why don't you care? Is the real question. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going off, but
you're fine.
Mad.
You're fine. So this is the summary of this study, and again, you guys can find this below. If you're watching this later, we'll put it in the description. So it says lowering legal barriers to make it easier for minors to undergo cross-sex medical interventions without parental consent does not reduce suicide rates. In fact, it likely leads to higher rates of suicide among young people in states that adopt these changes. States should instead adopt parental bills of rights that affirm the fact that parents have primary responsibility for their children's education and health, and that require school officials and health professionals to receive permission from parents before administering health services, including medication and, quote, gender-affirming counseling to children under 18. States should also tighten the criteria for receiving cross-sex treatments, including raising the minimum eligibility age. And then here are some of the key takeaways. U.S. policymakers are seeking to make it easier for minors to access puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones based on the claim that doing so reduces suicide risk. That's all. That's it in a nutshell right there. They're saying, let us push through this what we want to do, this ideology, even though it's affecting children's bodies permanently. Let us push this through, or you want kids to commit suicide. That's freaking blackmail is what that is. And it's based on a lie. Studies find that gender-affirming interventions prevent suicide. Studies that find that gender-affirming interventions prevent suicide fail to show a causal relationship and have been poorly executed. And then number 3, a superior research design shows that easing access to puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones by minors without parental consent increases suicide rates. So making it easier for kids to do this without their parents' consent, to get these hormones, to get surgery, it's increasing the suicide rates. And I'm not going to read the whole study. You guys can go read it. But one of the things they found is that in a bunch of these studies that are touting, that are saying, hey, look, it's reducing suicide rates, they're excluding all the people. In some cases, they're excluding in the study all the people who said they're not taking cross-sex hormones. So let's say you're responding to the study and you say that you've experienced gender dysphoria and you're taking the survey and it says, have you taken cross-sex hormones? And if you say no, well, then they discard the rest of your survey. So they're only looking at the people who've done it, first of all, which is bad methodology. Anyway.
Well, and also what they're doing that I don't know if a lot of people realize, they're making it easier for minors to access these online without any sort of therapy. They could just basically place an order like Amazon and get hormones, and these psychos support it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how we're allowing this to happen when you can see 12, 13-year-old girls go on TikTok. You'll see it all over. I mean, how can you? I don't even understand how a girl that age hasn't even nearly fully developed breasts, and you're cutting them off.
Yeah. Would you mind telling me when you were younger, do you think that you would have been susceptible to some of this?
100%. 100%. Because when I was, look at any pictures of me from like back in the day, like I loved David Bowie and Davey Havoc, and my style was kind of more like glam rock, androgynous kind of thing. 100%. And at the time I was like, oh, I don't want to look like a man or what. I just want to look like an alien. And it was mostly a phase. You know, I look a little freakish still, but just a little bit. So it was mostly a phase. But no, oh my God, I would have been the prototype of who they would have targeted. And it could have worked. Who knows? 100%. I would have been told that I'm some sort of trans or God. And I'll read these horrible stories. If you look at, I forget the name offhand, but there's some Reddit board where you find a lot of these. I read these horrible stories of these people who at ridiculously young ages were told that they're trans and transitioned. And there was one that I read recently from this girl sobbing, saying that she misses her breasts. I'm like, God,
I saw that one.
Horrible. Can you imagine? Like, and to think about, that's why one of the many reasons I think it kind of feels personal to me is that, like, what would have happened if I were growing up in this era? Would I have been castrated? Would I have gotten my body all surgeried?
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I'm forever grateful that I didn't grow up currently right now, because I don't know how it would have affected me. I'm not really sure. I was a tomboy in some ways, but in other ways I was very girly. It just depended.
You're not allowed to be that, though.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you must be a boy. Let's do something.
And that's the thing. All of these things come down, what they're deciding gender on, it comes down to nothing except stereotypes and ignorance. But it's worse than ignorance when you're altering the bodies of children. That's not ignorance. That's abuse. That's worse than abuse. I don't even know what to call it. It's just evil.
Yep. When you said that when you were younger, you identified as an alien.
No, I didn't. There was no word. There was no such thing as I want to look like I'm from outer space. I just wanted to be Ziggy Stardust. That's all.
I see. I was about to get into Barbara Walters style. Let's talk more about when you identified as an alien. Actually, but you reminded me of this. Hold on one second. One second.
I'm afraid to say.
Okay, somebody sent me this gift and they didn't put a note in it. I just got this. It's Matt Walsh's. Yeah, so if you sent me this, let me know because I want to give you a thank you. I want to say thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, Johnny the Walrus by Matt Walsh, and it's pretty funny. I had not read it yet. It's a kid's book, and in it, the child says he's a walrus, and so his mom takes him to a woke doctor who tells him that he needs to start eating worms and put on gray makeup, and that he might even need surgery that will turn his feet into fins. And the mom starts going along with all this because she's afraid of what people are going to say and they're going to call her a bigot, and it has a very good resolution. Anyway, it's a children's book and I had heard about it, but I had never read it. Anyway, thank you, whoever sent me that.
That's amazing. No, I think that's what I always say all the time is I think if you have kids, if you're a parent, you need to educate them about this. You need to warn them of this ideology the same way you would warn them about somebody pulling up with a van and saying, get in the car. That is how you need to warn them about this and let them know that this is something that they're going to face. This is the pressure that they're going to face, and they need to be able to stand strong and say no.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Tell them about it before.
I told you this. You want to hear something insane? I don't know if I told you this. So like, okay, I did the dumbest thing when I went to go see Carrie for her wedding that I went out with this guy and liked her. She was like 20. Big mistake. But he was like, he'd like taken time off, was like going to a new college or something in some liberal city. I must have said to him 20 times jokingly, don't let them turn you trans. And he was like, ha, that's so funny. I'm like, don't let them turn you trans. Want to guess what he is now?
Are you kidding?
It took what? 6 months?
Wow.
That is the level of pressure that there is, especially it's basically gay conversion therapy. If you're a gay man going to a liberal arts college in a liberal city, forget it.
Yeah.
Trans in 6 months.
I wonder if part of it is also because, as you were talking about with gay pride and stuff, there's really not any cultural pushback against homosexuality anymore. That the cultural pushback against that is gone. And so I wonder if for people who have that deep need to see themselves as a victim, their identity as a victim, I wonder if it's attracted to them on some level, because then you get to be what is currently the ultimate victim. You're sort of, I'm not just gay, I've also realized that I'm trans. You know, now I have this other set of oppression, this other kind of
oppression. Isn't even on the oppression pyramid anymore.
Yeah.
It's not at all. And trans is at the top. That's the thing. It's like, it's a very clever way of them being able to create radical leftist activists and victims, because you can't make a black person. You can't make, it's the only way. I mean, you can try to screw with someone's sexuality, but I don't think that would really, you get too far. But everyone has a gender. So it allows them access to so many different things. They have their hand in every jar. They're in every classroom, locker room, bathroom, sports. This obsession with gender, this is what's behind it. It allows them access to encroach on every single area in our lives. Yeah.
They will get around to doing that, though, to creating black people. They will, because Rachel Dolezal, yeah, that's going to take off eventually. It just hasn't yet. Oh, yeah, it hasn't yet, because there would be too much of an outcry within the ideology itself. But eventually they're going to get to that place.
Do you think black people would tolerate that, though?
Right now, they're not. But eventually, if this continues down the path it's on, yes, that will happen. I completely believe that. That's me. If I were a betting, I have played black. If I were to play blackjack on it, that's what I would say. Okay, let me read a couple of these super chats if you don't mind. I'll just. Yeah. Stephen Landau, thank you, sir. He says, coming in late, did you guys talk about the leaving the left talk the other day in Austin. Yes, sir. Thank you, Stephen, for $25 super chat. We talked about it at the beginning, and it's called Women Leaving the Left, and you guys can go back and watch that. We're going to be putting up, we did get video footage of the panel, and I'm not sure how great the audio quality is going to be because we had to speak over the protesters who were pounding on the windows the whole time, but we did have mics. Hopefully it comes out great. We had a videographer there, and we'll let you guys know when that's up. So,
as Serial Mom would say, rewind.
Okay, Pirate Queen. Thank you, Pirate Queen. Gives a super chat and says, Buck Angel was asking for tomboy stories on Twitter today and highlighting how tomboys are not allowed anymore. That's
I love
true.
him.
I do too. He doesn't care.
Oh,
It's
so funny because when I first knew him a little bit a year or two ago, he cared more. And now, so it's been wonderful to see him make his progression to giving no fucks.
Oh yeah, they call him all kinds of names, awful names. They call him trans scum for not going along with trans ideology, so the social justice.
Like I said,
ideology.
cults invent words.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to let it bother him. One more. This is from Margia Adamskia. I can't say it. I'm sorry. Look up Dr. Michael Weberly, UK tribunal found guilty. Reckless, dishonest, and harmed patients. Look at patient V, a 9-year-old who was diagnosed trans by Zoom and suicided.
Oh,
wow.
I gotta look into. I haven't heard about that.
I had not heard about that. A 9-year-old.
I just took a picture of the screen, so I'll remember.
So you remember, yeah. Thank you for that. I haven't heard about the story. I'll look it up. You know, it makes me think of just some of the stuff that I see in these parents groups. I've mentioned this before, but it is pervasive. This is if you think it's just isolated to the big cities, like sometimes I talk to people who still think it's just in places like New York and California. It's not. It's everywhere. It's here in Texas. And there are parents in there who oftentimes will say things like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong because, you know, I validated, I changed the pronouns, changed the name. My kid is on hormones. I've done everything right. I put that word in quotes because I think this is all wrong. They say I've done everything right, and my child just attempted suicide and is back in the hospital. And it's like, yeah, maybe what you're doing isn't working.
It's like, so sick. I was thinking about it. I think it's an extension in some ways, not all of this, but some of it. I think it's an extension of these narcissist women who it's like, you know, those types of narcissist straight women who try to have their like little gay accessory, the gay men that they use as like little subservient.
Oh, yes.
So yes. I think some of them, instead of that, are creating that for themselves with their child.
Yes, with their child.
That they're building with the child, where they can just talk at them, talk about themselves, get fashion tips, make them their little Barbie doll. I think that's part of it in a lot of cases.
It is. They don't see them as a human being. They don't have any empathy. They see their own child as an extension of themselves, as an accessory is a great way of putting it. And
I want to share this with you. I meant to send it to you before, but there's a study out too. I got to look up. I'll post after like the source. But so you know how these people, another one of their ridiculous lines that they say is that puberty blockers are totally reversible, which is just insane if you think about it. I mean, yeah, mess with the hormones. It's something that's so naturally occurring in young people. And oh, it's totally fine, totally reversible. Of course it's not. So this was a study that was done. 24 out of 25 reported side effects during treatment. 80% reported side effects lasting longer than 6 months after stopping treatment. Almost half, 9 out of 20, reported side effects that they considered irreversible, including memory loss, insomnia, hot flashes, and more.
Yeah.
Totally reversible. And that probably ain't the tip of the iceberg.
If you go to the Reddit forums for people who are detransitioning, you'll see story after story from these women who are trying to detransition, who took the hormones, in some cases had mastectomies, and are now trying to live as women, and they have all kinds of medical complications, in some cases being sterilized. So it's an outright lie that they're asking us to believe.
And it's always vague, very, very vague emotional language. Like you saw in What is a Woman, when he was talking to that woman who she's like the dean of some medical school or something. And you know, that doctor's the pediatrician that he was talking to?
We haven't seen it yet. I've only seen clips.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was saying about, isn't this drug being used as puberty blockers, Lupron, isn't that the same drug that they use to chemically castrate prisoners? And she just went to the vague emotional blackmail language is, oh, that's not respectful. That's harmful. That's hurtful. Answer his question.
Yeah.
And all of this entire thing is just, it's magical thinking. It is all based in nothing but emotional language. There is no standard. There's no objective reality for any of it.
That kind of refusing to answer the question by sidestepping and trying to do a sleight of hand. Yeah, that's like a.
No one else is hurtful. Cutting off a little girl's tits.
Yeah. But it makes me think of the Amber Heard testimony. There's a really great example of doing that sleight of hand where you avoid answering a question directly. And that was when they were asking her if she had donated all of that money that she said she was going to donate to charity that she got from the divorce settlement. And she said, I pledged to donate it. And they were like, no, I didn't ask if you pledged to donate. I asked, did you donate it? I pledged to. Yes, I did. No, did you donate it? And it's like, whoa, like that's, I just want to clip that and show anyone. This is what a narcissist is like when you try and pin them down on the truth. It's sort of that little like slide of, I did. Yes, I pledged. No. Yeah.
That's the number one thing they do. That's like something you become very hip to when you leave the left is their sleight of hand tricks.
They have so many sleight of hand tricks. Yeah.
The ultimate sleight of hand trick is the one that they do with trans stuff. You know, like, I mean, if you look at what's happening with kids being indoctrinated, of course, the sexualizing of kids is a big issue. But this gender ideology stuff, I feel like, is the issue. So it was yet another example of a sleight of hand trick, how the media labeled it the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, because they know that there's a lot more consensus over the issue of gay people.
Yeah. Sleight of hands are
scheming and sleight of hand.
Yeah. And sleight of hands are, if you strip it down to what that is, it is a lie. It is dishonesty. And you can't respect that. Matt Deckard, hello, sir. He gives a $5 super chat and says, if I transition and don't like it, can I crowdfund my manhood back? It's actually really sad. It's a funny question, but it's sad because this is what's happening.
If you keep it in a jar.
If you go on any of these crowdfunding platforms, you will find detransitioners who are trying to crowdfund surgery to try and go back and live as themselves, and they don't get nearly the support they get when they're transitioning. So
it's funny, I saw somebody, some like far left blue check mark maybe a week ago, and he's like, as you know, alphabet person, trans mania as you can possibly be. So he wrote one tweet saying like, you know, people who detransition are valid and deserve to have their voices heard, so we shouldn't discount them. Oh, the hatred that he got. Oh, those replies. I guarantee you if I look back, he's apologized or deleted it by now.
Yeah. How dare you say something reasonable?
Mm-hmm. It's a cult.
One more from Grady. Hello, Grady. Grady says, another disturbing push of the ideologies is how teachers use technology to monitor every aspect of children in schools. Yes. A lot of people don't know this, but the Google Chromebook. So a lot of schools have these Chromebooks that they give for free, which sounds like a great thing, right? Like, oh, this company's doing something great. They're giving Chromebooks for kids to use in class. They are monitoring everything your kids are doing at school, and they're using it to learn how to advertise to kids better. That's just one of the things they're doing. I mean, who knows the possibilities for all of that data? The point is, you're letting them collect that kind of data on your kids.
We're actually working on something with that to like show people what's happening.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm. Grady actually made me aware of a bunch of stuff that they're doing that I had no idea of how they're spying on kids and stuff. So
really, I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know you guys were working on something.
Yeah.
One more from Mandy. Hi, Mandy. She's a Russian bot. She says I'm the Russian bot, but I'm going to say it's her. Vandy says, I pledge to donate 288 rubles to Russian bot Carrie. You pledged it. You pledged it.
Hey, I've been a Russian bot since like 2018-ish.
Somebody here in Texas, it was one of the leaders of the Democratic Party here in Texas. I think he was a communications director or something. He called me like 2 years ago. He called me a Russian bot on Twitter, which is the funniest thing.
Just one? Oh my God, I got called that for like a year straight.
And then another one from Margia, Silent J. Ah, damn it. Maria. Maria. Silent J says, Graham Linehan Substack, great resource on UK litigation. Voting today on, quote, conversion therapy bill to criminalize non-affirmative care. Thank you. Yeah, this is the same person Mikey was saying. We have to look up that case of that 9-year-old who was diagnosed on Zoom.
Well, that's the thing. That's what they've been doing this in Canada a lot and a lot of other countries where they are rebranding any sort of thing that would approach, children transing with any sort of skepticism. They're rebranding that as conversion therapy because, most people, it's widely accepted that conversion therapy is not really possible when it comes to someone's sexual orientation. So most people are against it. So now they're trying to bring that so that you just have to automatically transition kids and then outlaw conversion therapy. So that means that these kids will automatically be affirmed. I feel like I'm way overusing these, but it's warranted here. I really go out of my way to not overuse them.
We're reaching a point where it's almost impossible not to use those because the
reality is in these.
Yes, because speech has become so Orwellian and everything that's up is down and down is up that you almost can't get away without
full conversations.
Conversion therapy, gender affirming. Yeah.
Oh, it's so sick.
Yeah. They've also, who was it that I think it was the APA, the American Psychiatric Association, recently changed a bunch of the gender affirming language around gender dysphoria. Did you see that?
No.
So yeah, they made it all much more Orwellian. So instead of saying your preferred sex, you have to now say they want the practitioners, the psychiatrists, instead of saying preferred sex, to say experienced sex.
Oh,
my experienced sex is male, which gives credence to it, which is automatically affirming and validating that it's real because I've experienced it rather than preferring it.
God, I'll never forget when I went to a doctor's office. This was like a couple years ago. And the woman at the desk, she was a black woman, and you could tell that she was probably required to ask me this. So she says to me, "What race do you identify as?" And I just looked at her like, "Really?" And we both laughed. Like you could tell she's probably required to ask that. But I so regretted not saying African American.
Yeah, just put it down.
Yeah.
Don't ask me any questions.
Yeah. I identify as it.
Yeah.
It's just that term is so weird. I don't identify as being gay. I just am. And it's like everything is about how you feel. Like there's no barometer for any sort of objectivity.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you and I have talked about this. I have talked about on the show before, but this whole idea of affirming everyone's identity and validating it no matter what it is, it's now spread, as I mentioned, into the APA, the American Psychiatric Association. And there's, are you familiar with Jake Wiskerson? He's a therapist, marriage and family therapist. He's amazing. Well, I've gotten to speak to him a couple of times. And one of those times he told me that the whole affirmative care thing has now moved. They've taken that model and it's sort of moved beyond the transgender issue into other things. So therapists are now being encouraged to affirm whatever it is their patients are saying. So for example, if someone were to come in and you as the psychiatrist are like, hey, you're writing it up, you're like, I think this person shows all those traits of borderline personality disorder. Let's pick, for example. And if you're not allowed to tell them that if they don't accept the diagnosis, like you're not allowed to give your opinion. So if they say, no, I have depression, that's why I'm here, I want to be treated for depression, that you as the therapist are now being told to affirm their self-diagnosis and treat them for their self-diagnosis.
Unless they diagnose themselves as not wanting
Yeah, not that.
Then it's like, oh, you're not a doctor, except when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. But otherwise, you can self-diagnose your own mental health issues, or we're very close to that happening.
Oh, and that's becoming, we've talked about it before, but that's becoming people's entire identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one more from Mandy. Thank you, Mandy. She says, on a serious note, Carrie, all of my favorite streamers have been getting swatted lately. Please be careful and aware. There are loons present. Yeah, for anyone who's not aware, Tim Pool, it keeps happening to him. It's been over 7 times now, I think.
Jeremy now.
The Quartering, Jeremy from the Quartering, and I believe Nick Rekieta just got swatted.
No, I didn't know that.
I think he did. Yeah, he did. Because I saw him talking about warrants, and he would be the person who knows how to get to the bottom of it. I think if anyone,
I don't
to find
understand
out
how they're allowing it to keep happening. Like with Tim Pool, I don't get it.
It's, one of my friends in law enforcement has told me, in their opinion, it's someone very powerful who's preventing them from finding those who are culpable, because it should be easy to do.
You would think by the 5th or 6th time they would set a trap for that person.
Yeah. So what I saw, if what I read was true, that Rekieta was saying that warrants have been, that's the path that you need to go. You need to get warrants to make the cops show everything that they have, so you yourself can get to the bottom of it, or force them to. That's what I think needs to happen. But I don't know. That's just based on enough friends. Yeah.
I totally believe it, though, because we've seen in many instances how it's basically like there are just no laws anymore.
Mm-hmm. One more from Matthew Hammond. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew says, are they trying to transition all gay males and females so that everyone is in a straight relationship?
That's right. Basically.
The weirdest ones that I've seen are where...
That's why gay isn't on the oppression hierarchy anymore.
The weirdest ones I've seen, though, are not gay people. It's straight people. It's where a man has transitioned to become a trans woman, and a woman has transitioned to become a trans man, and they're married and have kids that they're raising as babies. I've seen a few of these.
Oh, Christ. No, I've got one better for you, is when it's a straight, not transgender man and a straight, not transgender woman, or, some straight, but some sort of I'm bi, or not even bi isn't cool enough for them even. I'm pansexual, something, but none of that. But it's a man and a woman, and they're non-binary. So did you see the cover of what was formerly some gay magazine? And it had this big buff guy. He played Trevor in Scream 4, and his wife, who's a woman, and they were the headline, "This is a queer relationship."
No, I haven't.
Nothing.
I haven't seen that. No, but I have
seen.
It
makes me happy for what happened to him in Scream 4.
I have seen, though, in one of these parents groups I'm talking about, this mother who's she posted for support. I need some support and affirmation or whatever, because she said, my son. Now, when she says son in these groups, they're all talking about kids who are trans. So she means biological daughter. So she's like, my son who just transitioned, to being a boy. My son's boyfriend just broke up with him. Do you think it's because my son's boyfriend's mom found out that her son was gay? And I'm like, her son is not gay. Your child is a girl. What are you talking about? It's yeah. She's like, I didn't realize homophobia was still around. It's like, gosh. Yeah.
And it's and also I was thinking about how, when I was a teenager, I had a pretty good idea I was probably gay, but I didn't know any gay people my age because that's how it was back then. So I didn't come out until after I had relationships and stuff when I was 18, because I wanted to be sure. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, imagine if that were something that were not reversible, like changing a child's gender. Yeah. It's so sick.
So, Mikey, was there anything that you wanted to touch on today before I turn to this rather serious post of Lydia's.
What's the serious post?
Well, the one I mentioned earlier that kind of might make you cry.
Yes, now I need to know
Okay.
that. Lydia, like Lydia?
Yeah, oh yeah, Lydia from Temple. Hold on, let me share this. And I apologize in advance because this is a disturbing image. So if you don't like sad, disturbing images. Oh. So she shared this on Instagram, and I just it's a picture of a guy and his family. He's very skeletal looking. Like, actually, on my phone from far away, I didn't think this was real at first. I thought it was a skeleton. And it says, a man guards his family from the cannibals during the Madras famine of 1877 at the time of British Raj, India. And the man is sitting there over a woman who's clearly starving to death. They're all starving to death. And anyway, here's what she said about it. I thought it was just so real, like so true. She says, this is not said enough. This world we live in is a cotton candy dream. And we're staring down the barrel of this fancy luxury designer world falling apart. It can get bad. It can get worse than we can imagine. Humans have always fought the elements, each other, and right now we're fighting ourselves. But being our own worst enemies is a luxury. We have too much free time, too much money, too much access to ideas that poison us against our own physical bodies and atomizes us, alienating us from everyone around us. When it falls apart, we are going to need one another. Now is the time to build strong relationships, strong families, strong communities. Like the father in this searing picture, we are going to need people who care enough about us that they are willing to use their last ounce of energy to help us survive a few minutes longer than we would without them. Anyway. Sorry for bringing everybody down.
No, it's necessary. That was spot on.
It's really just one of those images that just shakes you out of whatever you're in and arrests you and grabs you and is like, get over your BS, like whatever it is you think that's so awful in your life. Like what she said about like, we are living in a cotton candy dream. Like this world, all those people out there protesting our event, they have nothing to be upset about. They don't know what adversity is. None of us do, truly. I'm not saying we don't have our own adversity in each of our lives. We do, but we don't live like that. We have never known that. And we have so much freedom to just obsess over these, like she said, these evil ideologies to allow them to take control of us. And all those people banging on the walls at our event, it's like they want something, some kind of meaning in their life, even if they have to go out and find it and make it in this really awful, rancid way, because they have too much of everything. They don't have adversity, so they want to create it, this fantasy adversity. And I think she's right. I think we might hit it. We might actually get it. We might actually hit something awful, very awful in this country.
I mean, I think the last 2 years was kind of the test run for it, and to see how compliant everyone was, how everyone was just all too willing to sell people out.
Yeah.
Like if they had enacted concentration camps here this last year, how many millions of people would have been pushing their neighbors into them? A lot of them, tens of millions of people. And I think that's what's been the scariest thing, especially as somebody who was in New York and segregated this whole time, is seeing how all too willing people were to do that, to just accept this framework 100%, and knowing the people who would sell you out and who don't care as long as it doesn't affect them. Yeah.
They did a very good test run in a way, whether it was intended to be that or not. They know what to do now to get everyone, not everyone, I realize I'm not speaking for each and every person, but they know what to do to get society to go along with authoritarianism now, to get this very privileged, wealthy, blessed society to give up freedoms and to turn each other in and to turn on one another. The remember in Los Angeles, Mayor Garcetti went on television, and when he was trying to get people to turn in their neighbors for going to work and operating their business, and he said, "You've heard that snitches get stitches. I'm here to tell you stitches get rewards." That is disgusting.
And you would think that some of these people would realize it or think about the words they're here, but no, it's like, it's like talking to a road cone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think, and I don't know, I thought a lot of times over the last couple of years, it's not only leftists, it's people in general who are sort of that personality type. Why do they hate me so much? Why do they hate other people I know who are great? And I think to people like that, there's something very threatening about people who make genuine relationships. Because like, if you look at leftists, for example, they don't like each other. Look at
No.
LGBTQ, whatever. They talk about social constructs, but there is no greater social construct than the idea of LGBTQI, blah, blah. Like, none of these people actually like each other. They're just grouped together by resentments and conformity, and that's about it. So I think there is something very threatening to people like that, by people who make genuine connections and have strong relationships that are based in choice, really. We choose to be around each other. They call me a pick-me, and it's like, yeah, you're right. I pick the people I choose to be around, and they pick me.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah. I think the most important thing people can do right now is to build relationships with build community, build fellowship, as Gary on Rhetoric calls it. He doesn't call it community, he calls it fellowship. But build that fellowship because as Lydia's talking about, like that's what it all comes down to in the end. I had somebody during the Q&A of that Women Leaving the Left event ask us about what did we hope to accomplish politically by leaving the left? And I had to think about it, but it's sort of my walking away from the left. It wasn't, it didn't originate in politics. I mean, it had political consequences. I did switch my voter registration from Democrat to Green, and then became an independent after that. And I did vote for my first ever Republican in 2018. I did vote for Trump in 2020. I did finally start considering other parties, but so it had political consequences, but it wasn't a political. I don't put a lot of faith in politics. I care more about culture and spirituality. It's like, I see this war as a culture war, and I see it as a spiritual war as well. And I think those are the places where you fight back, because politics, it's that famous Breitbart quote, politics is downstream from culture, and that'll change if you change the culture. And so the most important thing you can do if you're watching this and the path where we're heading scares you, or you disagree with it, is to do what Jordan Peterson says, is to fix the sphere that you can control, fix the world around you and your relationships and the people that you interact with in your life, and build a life that is for good, not good because it's what politics it's associated with, not that fake good, but build a life that's good. Anyway, just kind of rambling.
No, you're not. They always say things so perfectly.
I don't think so. Beth Lemon says yes. Okay, good. So someone says yes.
Yes.
You guys, I'm sorry. I saw somebody say that thing that Lydia shared didn't make them feel down. It made them feel fired up, but it made me feel down. So I want to end on something positive. So I'm trying to get there.
What's positive?
Well, let's see.
I was talking about that the other day with my friends who are on my locals. We were having a Zoom hangout, and we were talking about all these different subjects. And I'm like, is there anything not depressing? And then what we finally landed on was, let's talk about food. That's the one thing that'll never let you down. Until I thought about grocery prices.
Yeah, then you go there. Well, I've got a couple of good news things. Just off the top of my head, I heard, if we're talking about culture and entertainment, I heard that the new Top Gun movie is pretty good and it's not woke. So I intend to go see that. I couldn't see it the day I wanted to because something came up, but I want to go see that movie. That sounds fun. Haven't
It's
seen a
weird.
movie since Joker.
What's that?
I haven't seen a movie in the theater since Joker.
I think Scream was the last one I saw. Don't talk about depressing things. Nev Campbell not being in Scream 6 because they didn't want to pay. Oh, don't even the disrespect. I can't. So we're not going to talk about that because I will get emotional. Top Gun though, I have such split feelings about Tom Cruise. Obviously, he's a Scientologist nut job, but like if it weren't for that, I would really like him because he's kind of the only person who's keeping like real filmmaking alive that isn't just like some green screen CGI fuckfest. He's like the only one keeping that alive. So like I respect that and him.
Yeah.
Except for all the other stuff.
It's hard for me to forget that he's Tom Cruise, but I don't think he's a main character in this one, is he?
Really?
Maybe I'm wrong.
I kind of just because it's like a real movie that, you know, it's not just CGI and green screens, but I kind of have no interest. I never saw the first one.
Okay, what else is on my list? I'll tell you. So as I mentioned, we're making progress on the house, which is exciting. And also, I'm finally there's been some delays, but we downgraded our vehicles and I got a bigger, older truck and I'm very excited and I go pick it up as soon as I get off this stream. So that's exciting to me.
I have something really exciting to pick up on my door after the stream. Hopefully, this is going to sound ridiculous. Maybe like 6-7 years ago, I found this amazing like tank top kind of thing of the Clash at some thrift store, and I didn't get it, and it has been bothering me for like 7 years since then. I could not find it anywhere, not online, nowhere. I finally found it, and it's coming today, and I'm so excited. And it probably it's just a tank top that says the Clash, so it's probably stupid to most people. But
see, let that be a lesson to you. If you see the perfect thing in a thrift shop, and it's not even that much, all things considered, because it's a thrift shop, and it really speaks to you. I'm the firm believer. You don't want to be thinking about it after you leave there. So
it's because it's the same Clash logo that I had on my backpack when I was a kid.
Well, I'm very happy for it. It's the small things. There was a guy, I had a thread the other day. I was like, we should do a gratitude thread because, man, that day I was like, I know I need one. What's some good things happening in your life? And there was this one guy. It was so sad. There was everybody sharing all these really fun, joyful things. But this one guy was saying nothing in my life. And I've been in this depression for a while. And this is something, well, I told him this, but anyone who struggles with depression, the neuroscientists have shown that if you sit down and write out a gratitude list, it actually changes your brain. It helps you get out of depression, especially if you do it over long periods of time. So even if the first time you do it, you get a little notebook and write down, even if you can just write down one thing, like my t-shirt with the Clash on it is coming today. You write that down. The next day you write down something
bad
else.
One though would be great over. Like I have better things than that.
Yeah, but for someone who's in that dark pit, right? There might be that's the only thing they can think of. That's okay. Write down one thing a day and you do it over a period, and then it elevates your mood slowly each day. And then if you do it long enough, you'll get to that place where you're sort of like, it's not so hard to come up with lists, and you've got more things that you're putting in there, and you're not even having to try. So
Hi, Lime Lady. She said The Craft. I love The Craft, the movie.
Oh, I remember that movie.
I feel like we talked about the sequel years ago, but I never actually saw it. It was supposed to be like very, very, very woke. And it was, I don't think it's a sequel. It's some like crappy requel thing.
Yeah, those
not even a requel.
They're not usually worth it. I do like the original.
I kind of wanted to hate watch it because I heard it's like super trans and racial and they have all the stuff in it.
When are you going to have me back on your channel to do a horror movie night? I'm down.
Okay. Look who you're talking to.
I'm down.
I'm so there. I'm so there.
And it's funny because when I do some of these other shows, I was on Josiah Rises and Epic Mike had me on their show on Saturday night. And whenever people are talking about, new shows like Rings of Power is coming out or movies, and then I'm trying to think about what I've been watching lately, and it's always off subject. It's like personally, It's either horror or but lately for me it's not horror, it's true crime shows, but you know, it's not.
Oh, we gotta talk about that. No, we got to come back to that in one sec. But I'm always doing that. That I'm like, God, I got to work on projects and videos and stuff that somebody other than me would want to watch. And then I ended up writing this long essay about the Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie and how it's basically a metaphor for the downfall of society. And I never put it out because it was just so insane and nobody would ever want to read that.
No, you know who would love that? Mystery Chris.
Really?
Yes, he wanted to talk about that movie the other night. Yeah, you should put it out.
Everything wrong with the world. Okay, maybe I will put it out. But I will say one thing I'm like kind of happy about is I'm finally like getting serious about YouTube. So this week I'm launching a series that I'm excited about. It's gonna be a 4-part series, Dark Side of the Rainbow. I'm gonna be exposing different aspects of the alphabet cult. So that's the first one, is showing how it's a cult. And I spoke to cult experts. I went through all the literature, the warning signs and symptoms, everything of a cult and how it applies to this cult. And it sounds like it was just written exactly for them.
Mike, I am so excited for that.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, so that'll be out this week.
Tell people where to find you, just in case they don't know.
Yes, find me my YouTube channel. It's my name, Mike Harlow. We did a true crime stream on there recently, but yeah, it's been a little bit barren. But this week I'm like kicking it into high gear, so it's just my name, Mike Harlow. I've been doing a bunch of like stupid little short videos on Instagram. So that's Sleepy Harlow _. I had to add that horrible underscore to get myself out of the perpetual state of banning.
Yeah.
Or Twitter, not Mike Harlow.
You guys go check out Mike, and then we're going to take off in a second. I'm just going to read a couple more of these. Mandy, thank you, Mandy. She says, when you mentioned picking up something, I literally just stood up and checked my door for an expected package of clothes. I bought nothing. Aw, sad ending.
Oh,
I thought she was going to say,
that was such a letdown at the end. I was excited for you for the clothes.
Yeah. And then Mark, thank you, Mark, says, RE Fellowship. That's why the continued breakdown and breakup of family is so nefarious. Yes, it's the first foundation of community and fellowship. It is. And you're right. You destroy the family, and then what kind of community bonds does the leftist cult want you to form? They're not I would argue they're not healthy community bonds. Yeah, it's this sort of allyship. Allyship is not fellowship.
It's so different. It's not relationships. It's nothing. Let me tell you exactly what they are doing, because for decades now, they have built the perfect model for a toxic, self-destructive culture in the gay culture. What they are trying to do is to export all of the most toxic elements of the gay culture into mainstream society. And you all need to reject it at every turn, because it makes gay people miserable and lonely and unhappy. And now they're trying to make everyone that way.
They prey on people who have been isolated from their families for one reason or another, or if they haven't been isolated, they encourage kids to cut their family off. They encourage that, like cults do.
Like cults always do.
Yeah.
Another thing I think I've learned the last year especially is that I think, there's no esteem or anything for any sort of God or anything anymore in this culture. So I really feel like when a culture or society loses any sense of religion, it gets replaced with something worse. And that is exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Worship of self, worship of government, worship of identity.
Yep. Chuck Davis for $10. Thank you, sir. He says y'all should do a fashion break when you get together and discuss hats, shirts, and stuff. Mikey's fashion sense appeals to straight white male, identified non-cisgender otherkins too.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Can we please do that? I can't compete with you on hats, but
I would love. Look, I get to do as much frivolity as I want, so we could just do a whole show that's frivolous.
Yes,
if we wanted to. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and you guys. Thank everybody. Give Mikey a round of applause.
Oh, I love you. Thank you for having me. I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you soon.
I can't. Yeah, it'll be June 25th. Yeah, so June 25th I'll be in New York for. I'm going to go check out Minds Fest, and I'll get to see you.
Yeah,
And that's happening at the Beacon Theater,
we're gonna go to the theater.
Mhm. And then just for anybody in Texas this week, coming up this week, Anthony and I are going to go to the Friday Night Heights meetup on Thursday in Dallas, and I'm going to stick around for Fan Expo. So if you guys are in Texas, come and say hello. The Friday Night Heights meetup. There's going to be a lot of people there, and it's free and open to the public. So
I'm so jealous. I love them.
Yeah, they're so much fun. That's one of those shows where it's always like, yes, if you want me on, I'll be on because I know I'm gonna have a good time and just laugh and have a lot of frivolity.
That's like one of my dream shows to be on.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay, Mikey, thank you.
Oh wait, can I say real quick too? If you guys like my stuff, I'm trying to like build up my locals thing more. So if you like my stuff and want to help me get a microphone or something that is not this piece of shit, support my grifting at locals. MikeHarlow.locals.com. I'm such a bad grifter.
I still haven't. Yeah, I'm not very good at pitching all the things. I just with new technology, it's like really I have to learn a new one. We are going to be using locals for deprogrammed. You guys, we haven't abandoned it. We're going to use it for movie night where we just hang out and book club. Yeah. So if you haven't already joined, you can go and join. And we sometime in the next month we'll be doing a test stream, probably in the next couple weeks.
We can have crossover movie nights.
Yeah,
horror movie nights.
I can do a horror movie night. Okay, guys, we're gonna go out on a video. Let's see if I get it to work. Take care.
Love you.
I love you. Bye.